You're listening to the Hockey Podcast Network. New shows every day. Find us at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com or wherever you get your podcasts from.
The second round is in full swing and the action increases from game to game. This is where the contenders are separated from the pretenders. To give you some skin in the game, DraftKings will be offering free-to-play pools every day of the basketball playoffs, offering players a free shot at up to $10,000 in total prizes. That's up to $10,000 in total prizes up for grabs each day. The best part is that it's free to play. DraftKings free-to-play pools are easier to enter. Just download the DraftKings app, go to pools, and choose from a wide variety of free contests for an opportunity to win cash prizes. All you have to do is answer a handful of questions around what you think is going to happen during that day's basketball games. And track your results throughout the evening. Questions will range from which team will hit the most threes to which team will score first. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings app now and use promo code THPN when you sign up to get your free shot at up to $10,000 in total prizes every day. Head to DraftKings Pools page to get your shot at huge cash prizes. That is during the basketball playoffs. That's promo code THPN for a limited time only at DraftKings. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for full details. Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 53, season 2 of Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas about your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home. Today, we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to bounce around elite prospects and take a peek at who the Red Wings might be able to draft if we take a look at each team going from specific rankings, and if everybody were to take the number one player available on that list. So basically what we're saying is, if we are taking a look at NHL Central Scouting, top 32, we're going to take those top 32 players. Number one is going to take number one. Number two will take number two. And we'll just kind of bounce down the list a little bit. It's going to be another short episode here. I just thought it would be a little bit of fun to take a peek at. Background for myself probably looks a little different. That's because I am currently in an Airbnb while my house gets fixed up. And it's not been fun. So I will have to give a quick plug for Dynasty by Decade. I just finished recording with Ken Cal. That's right, our radio broadcaster for the Detroit Red Wings. You guys want to check that out on the Hockey Podcast Network. We, of course, if it's called Dynasty by Decade, went over the Detroit Red Wings in the 1990s. It's actually quite a bit of fun. We went through the 80s and what led to drafting Steve Yzerman, drafting Sergei Fedorov, Nicholas Lidstrom, Vladimir Konstantinov, all in the same year, keep in mind. A couple of cool anecdotes that Ken Cal, being in the middle of that, and all the different people he's met, and real conversations he's had with the likes of Scotty Bowman. And of course, we get into 1998 and the tragedy of surrounding Konstantinov and Ken Cal's friend, Sergei Minetsikhanov. And we wrap that into what's going on with the Red Wings now and how Steve Yzerman, who had so much success in the 90s with the Red Wings, who learned so much from the likes of Scotty Bowman and Jimmy Devellano and Ken Holland, what he's bringing to the franchise now. Extremely fun conversation. Can't wait for you guys to check that out. We'll give you guys the update as soon as that episode is available. But keep an eye out. If you guys just follow along, Dynasty by Decade, you're not going to miss it. They've already gone over the Canadians in the 60s, and they did do the 70s. Might have to go back and take a peek there. So 90s down the road a little bit there, but can't thank Ken, if you're listening. I can't thank you enough for coming on again to Red Wings Rant. That of course, Ken had his own episode of Red Wings Rant a couple months back, and this was a great opportunity for us just to chat Red Wings hockey, not necessarily going over what is going on right now, but fun little documentary style, bouncing back and forth on some of the news, noteworthy items from those eras, just some of the transactions that happened that led to building such a successful franchise, and some of our personal feelings as well. So highly recommend that, guys. Go check it out. It was a ton of fun. And let's play this game. All right. So the game that I mentioned was we're going to go through a few different rankings that are found on eliteprospects.com. And I've got them queued up. So the only thing that's going to slow us down here is me switching between each one. But let's start with number one here. I'm going to pull up. Let's do NHL Central Scouting first. So you guys will see this. If you're watching us on YouTube, you'll see this pop up on the right-hand side of the screen. I needed to actually sit there and think for a second what side of the screen that was on. That is hilarious. All right, so we just run down this list. NHL Central Scouting. Owen Power goes first. Mason McTavish. Kent Johnson of U of M. Luke Hughes going number 4. Dylan Gunther going number 5. That leaves Matthew Beniers for us. This is a guy that is going number 1 in some other rankings here. So this is another kid from U of M. If I could pull this up here, there we go. He's 18. He is from Massachusetts. He's 6'1" at the center position, 174 pounds. The height is there. We got to put on some more muscle on that body there. Now for U of M, 24 points in 24 games. Not gonna hurt. Not gonna hurt at all. World Juniors at 20. 3 points in 7 games. Does not hurt at all. To see those 3 points in 7 games. Especially for a kid who's 18 right now, and there's a lot of folks playing in those World Junior 20s, a couple years older. So everything going on here, looking good to me. I think this would fill a spot for us because you really got to at some point either luck into the center that's going to lead you into the future, or you're hoping that are you going to fail again and cross your fingers on Shane Wright in the next draft? So this is one of those where there aren't too many names, as we've discussed in previous episodes, that are really going to blow off the page here for the 2021 draft. We've already discussed trading back and grabbing more picks to see if you can kind of win the lottery and luck out and find a star player. We talked about in the last episode that the Detroit Red Wings have the best shot at landing a star player because of how many picks we have. So do you just want to increase those chances and see what you can do? Ultimately, that's always where my head is at first. So cross your fingers, keep pulling up picks, or you run into Matthew here and you luck out and you find a guy who's going to fit in your top 6. I think this at least has that potential because he is found on a couple of different prospect lists at number 1. And of course, this is a sizable center. So you're going to have someone that with his ability to score, he has an eye for the puck. He has the skill. So it's going to be about putting the right guys around him. This for me would be an absolute win. I would be super stoked if this happened. So we could always keep our fingers crossed and, see what happens next. But as we go through these lists, you'll see, I guess, how incredibly variable these lists are and everything that's going on there. Like I said, as we pop around through these lists, the only thing that's going to be holding me up is going to be making those jumps from one to another. So let's head on over to the SMOT Scouting, the top 32. And this is exactly what I'm talking about as we share this one. And guess who's number 1? That's right. Matt is number 1. So as we move down, this is the consensus number 1. If we looked at the consolidated rankings, would be Owen Power. That's right. Can the Red Wings grab Owen Power? Well, according to SMOT Scouting, he's going to be at the number 6 spot. 18-year-old, 6'5" defenseman, 214 pounds. That boy's got some muscle on him. That's right. There's not too much that we need to add to the Owen Power conversation, but he has 16 points in 26 games. The World's 3 points in 10 games. Of course, we all know he just played with Troy Stetcher, so that's fun. And Troy went as far to say, after also commending Moritz Seider, who he played against, but saying this is a real NHL defenseman. So if this were to actually come to fruition, this would be fantastic. But if you look at these rankings here, obviously, like I mentioned, number one on the consolidated rankings. If I highlight a couple notes here, Draft Prospects Hockey's number one, Sportsnetty's number one, NHL Central Scouting number one, Puck Authority number one, Mackenzie's number one. So I'm guessing Owen Power is going number one. And, you either look at the fact that this kid's huge, you look at his ability to score, you listen to Troy Stetcher, or if you're the marketing department, you just say, of course, we want a kid named Owen freaking Power. All right. Moving forward. Again, we're just popping around on elite prospects, looking at if the list went according to a few different rankings here on elite prospects. Who would the Red Wings get at the number 6 pick? Now, this is another boy from University of Michigan. It's going to be Kent Johnson going number 6 for the Puck Authority top 32. Give this a minute to load up for Kent. And this is another big boy, 6'1" center. He is Canadian. He's 18, October 18th, 2002. If you take a look here at Kent, I mean, we're bouncing around a lot around the 6s. We have a number 3 from the NHL Central Scouting for only North American skaters. But nothing too high for Kent. So this is pretty much going to be his highest ranking on any of the lists. And if we pop down here, it's not anything that he's been terrible by any means. 27 points in 26 games for the University of Michigan. So you're looking at a guy who knows how to put the puck in, and this is another center. So you're kind of playing that same game that we were talking about before with Matthew. And you've got to line up some top 6 centers. And right now, you could make the argument that Dylan Larkin at least is one of them. But you could also make the argument that we still don't even have Dylan Larkin in that spot. So as we move forward and you're looking to build a Stanley Cup caliber team, you've got to run into someone that is a top 6 center. Whether or not, like I said, you're waiting for Shane Wright to line up, or you want Kent Johnson from the University of Michigan to be your boy. Very possible. He's got some good size, and it's not anything to sneeze at. I would say. I'm pretty sure there's enough people out there that hate when I say that. But speaking of which, we are heading to. We're seeing all these on EliteProspects.com. So, what does Elite Prospects think about our draft? So again, lining up number 1, getting number 1, number 2, 2, number 6. Yep, that's right. My absolute least favorite thing in the whole world. Jesper Wallstedt would be our draft pick at number 6. This is a goaltender. I tell y'all, I do not want a goaltender in the top 10. They become very costly. They can really run you down. We are seeing Carey Price play balls to the wall, knocking out the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Winnipeg Jets. I would keep my fingers crossed if I was a Montreal Canadiens fan. But I'll tell you, I don't want to take a goalie in the top 10. I think goaltenders are way too variable. You can build a team with signing a goaltender in the offseason and just cross your fingers that it works out. I always think that's the better way to go. Build your defense, build your two-way forwards, and then the goaltending will fall into place. You want to at least get to the point where goaltending isn't always the problem you're losing. And for the Montreal Canadiens, they can't always say that Carey Price, like, he's not really ever the problem, but he just gets in the way of building a team. Now, that's my thoughts on picking up a goaltender. If we follow along the elite prospects, that's what we're going to get. But I mean, this is a guy by all accounts. You don't want to say a sure thing, but he's the surest thing in the realm of goaltenders in the first round. 18 years old, 6'3", 214 pounds. You got him going as high as number 4 on McKeen's Hockey, and of course on Dobber Prospects as well. He's number 4, but he's definitely in this range. And going the absolute worst ranking he has is number 17 by Neutral Zone, and I'm wondering if that has a lot to do with some of the things that I just brought up in regards to not taking a goaltender in the first round. That's how I feel. You end up spending too much. Goaltending changes week to week, year to year, definitely. But day to day, game to game, you've got a guy that's up and down. And I just say, you could find that in a lot of spaces, and the fact that these guys aren't going to play 82 games also plays into this. So that's my feelings on it. I don't think you draft a goaltender at this spot, and ultimately the Red Wings' outlook completely changes. I mean, look at what Bernier's been able to do, and we're still where we're at. So yeah, line up your forwards, line up your two-way forwards, line up your defense, and then we can start looking around and playing the game of when do we start spending money on a goaltender. All right, so let's remove that one. We're going to go on over to Dobber prospects, and then we'll call it a night. But taking a look at Dobber prospects, this is someone I think this is Brant Clark. This is someone I think earlier in the year was ranking a little bit higher. Then he fell back again, and now he's back up. Now, again, like I said, number 6. Ranked number 2 on the consolidated ranking. So he has taken a bit of a roller coaster ride. He's number 3 on Elite Prospects. But like I said, he's settling back into the top spots. He's 6'2" defenseman, 190 pounds. So not as big a boy as we were talking about earlier on his own power. But I mean, it's another guy that, like I mentioned, if you're trying to line up your defense, you're trying to line up your two-way forwards, you're trying to find a way to build this team to make sure that they can prevent goals. This is a good cat to throw in there. 2021 playing for Slovakia as alone, 15 points in 26 games in the U18s. Guess what? 7 points, 7 games. Definitely a plus there. This is a guy that's I guess the way you want to look at that is Brant Clark was playing with some talented folks, but he wasn't slowing anybody down. So you put him in those more situations where he's playing with talented folks. You don't necessarily have to worry too much about what's gonna happen with him. So as this team continues to grow, you know that he's not going to slow anybody down. I just challenge anybody, or I would ask them to pause and seeing any excitement from um, productive stats that don't completely blow everybody out of the water in those World Juniors when they're Canadian, because you want to see somebody that's not slowing them down and say, okay, this isn't going to be going to absolutely kill us. Now, all that being said, we're still talking a defenseman, so 7 points in 7 games is still fantastic. I just would rather focus on the Slovakia numbers here, and of course, if we go back to the OHL, 38 points in 57 games. He's been consistent. So you go to the worlds for the 17 under 17 is 6 points in 5 games as we take a peek here. Again, if you're not following along on YouTube, I am just throwing a lot of stats at you, but that's what we're looking at from eliteprospects.com. So is Brant Clark a bad pick? By no means. This would be a fantastic pickup. I think it's just comparing those World Junior stats. I try not to get too stoked about them. Is kind of just where my head's at, to kind of give maybe a side note, not too much to do with Brant Clark. So if we pick up Brant Clark, I can tell you right now, you can be a very happy Red Wings fan if that were to happen. So the only one I have left on here was something we've already taken a look at, was the consolidated rankings. So we're looking at quite a few different rankings put together. And like I said, since we already took a peek at this, we're not going to surprise anybody here, but Simon Edvinsson is the number 6 ranked player from the SHL. So of course is who Anzar Khan thought was going number 2 in that infamous video with Steve Yzerman just a week ago. Super fun to watch. 6'5" defenseman, 207 pounds. This bad boy is ranked number 2 on FC Hockey, number 2 for the European skaters on NHL Central Scouting. But he does go high as well. He's 9 on Neutral Zone, 9 by EliteProspects.com, 9 by the Puck Authority. If he's in this range, though, you see Dobber Prospects has him at a 7. So this is starting to make sense. Consolidated ranking at 6 makes a ton of sense for everything that we're seeing bouncing around there. But jumping into the statistics, 10 games for Lunda. And we know how much the Red Wings, Steve Yzerman, love looking at for Lunda. 1 point in 10 games, nothing in the playoffs. And then The World Juniors under 18, he was a little bit more productive, 4 points in 7 games. So at least there, as you move, you're trying to look at these stats and compare. Okay, SHL, he's playing with the big boys, and the World Juniors, he's playing with everybody his size. um, we're not necessarily looking at your offensive defenseman, at least at this point. But this kid gets ranked high because he definitely has the tools, but he's very high, I should say, in this top 10 ranking because of his size. 6'5", 200 pounds. And this is definitely on the Red Wings radar because of, I'm just going to say it. I'm not really ragging on the Red Wings, but being from Sweden, playing in Frölunda, you could start to put together a whole line that is the Swedish Five. So you could play this game and start to start putting these cats together and start figuring, wow, you can have these rookies, these prospects joining the Red Wings franchise and having a good background with some of the cats who are already playing. So that's like I always say, nothing to sneeze at. That's actually going to be pretty good news. So those are your boys. Taking a look at these lists, I don't think from what we were taking a look at, there's too many names besides Jesper Wallstedt that I'm going to be bummed about. I would say. I think generally we're going to be pretty happy with whatever we land, and that goes back to our previous conversations that these margins are razor thin this year, and nobody is necessarily coming in from the outset and is going to be an elite super duper star. As we've talked about in weeks past, those will be found in this draft. There will be somebody that's going to stand out. We just feel like it's probably going to be something we luck out in the later rounds. So playing that game, do we settle on, I'll say it, do we settle on what's here in the top 6 and the top 10 for the Detroit Red Wings? And like I said, it's all over the place. So clearly there isn't that one or two guys that you absolutely should take at that spot. There's a ton of guys that could end up in your lap. So that being said, do you trade back and try and get more draft picks just to increase the odds that you're going to be the team that lands that super duper star that's in this draft? Maybe not in the realm of Pavel Datsyuk, but don't forget where Kucherov was drafted. Don't forget where Braden Point was drafted. And I bring up guys drafted by Mr. Steve Yzerman. So always keep that in mind. That might be where we want the Red Wings to focus, is getting more picks. But none of that happens. Still think we're fine. We're going to pick up something solid, just not game-changing for the 2021 season. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry for another short episode. Like I said, check out Dynasty by Decade through the Hockey Podcast Network. Of course, this episode sponsored by DraftKings, and find the Brothers of Discussion on YouTube. That's us. That's my brother. We are putting episodes out soon. It's just like I said, I'm in somebody else's basement right now while my house gets fixed up. So another troubling week in the world of Matt, the Brothers of Discussion, and Red Wings Rant. But we'll be back on a regular schedule soon, I promise. All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Find us at BOD Hockey on Twitter, and have fun with the conversation. There we go. Have a good one.